Hi Fight fans, welcome to another episode with the African Fighters. UFC 285 is upon us, and as we look forward to having a great time, we'll take a quick review on UFC 284, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. We know there's been a lot of arguments, among fight fans. A lot of people are saying, Islam Makhachev didn't deserve to win the fight. A couple of people are saying Alexander deserves to win the fight, and there's a lot of opinions. So we'll take a quick review of the fight. We'll do a little bit of analysis of the fight and see what the African fighters have to say regarding UFC 284's main event. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, this is an amazing fight. It's a one-of-a-kind fight, and the fact that we might have the possibility of a rematch is even better because, when you have two great fighters in the world of combat sport, you don't necessarily get to see them fight, especially if they're not in the same weight class. So this is one fight that we are really, really grateful that we had the chance to see as fight fans. So moving forward, let's get right into it. Coming into the fight, Alexander Volkanovski was the number one pound for pound fighter in the UFC. And guess who was second? Islam Makhachev. Alexander Volkanovski came into the fight with a 25-1 record. This man was on a 22-fight win streak. The man had not lost since 2013. He is a really, really difficult man to fight against. You can ask Max Holloway about that. So he came into the fight in really, really good form and was looking to topple Makhachev. Now, Makhachev is a weight class higher, and he came into the fight with a 23-1 record. He's now 24-1 after defeating Alexander Volkanovski. He came into the fight with a 12-fight win streak, and that's about it for the backstory. And so we get into the main fight. Now, everybody knows that Islam Makhachev is a southpaw, and as a southpaw going up against an orthodox fighter, you have a slight advantage, simply because southpaws, they are used to going up against orthodox fighters all their life. While for an orthodox fighter, you fight a lot of right-handed people, and then every now and then you fight a southpaw. So in a way, the southpaw fighter is more prepared for the fight than maybe an orthodox fighter, just based on experience fighting against a different style. Now, take that into context. Islam Makhachev is coached by the legendary Khabib, and he's one of the best wrestlers in the game. Apart from just his wrestling skill, he's a decent stand-up guy, he's a decent striker. On the other hand, Volkanovski is known more for his striking than his wrestling, but he's also a very, very determined fighter. He has a rugby background, which is not very popular in UFC. Most people have like kickboxing background or jiu-jitsu or judo or something. He comes from a rugby background, but he's so determined in the ring. I mean, we know what he's going to do. He's going to push the pace. He's going to pressure, make you move, make you make reads for the full 5 rounds. That's the kind of fighter he is. And so, coming into this fight, we had an idea of how it was going to play out. Everybody wanted to see if Volkanovski can stop Makhachev from taking him to the ground. If he finally takes him to the ground, can you get up? Because most of the time, when wrestlers like Makhachev, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, when they take you down, you stay down. Everybody wanted to see if Volkanovski had what it takes to get back on his feet if he gets taken down, or if he could even prevent the takedown going into the fight. And so round 1 did not disappoint. We saw it. He got taken down. Even though he couldn't get back up in round 1, he managed to stay in the fight. He didn't get finished, and then he learned a lot from that round. It's amazing to see how much Volkanovski learns round by round. He just keeps learning as the fight goes on. And although Makhachev is a very good striker, we all knew that the best chance Volkanovski had to win that fight was if it was standing. So the longer the fight went on standing, the better the chance for Volkanovski. And if you watch the fight, you see that everybody clearly gave round 1 and round 4 to Islam Makhachev, and then Volkanovski clearly won round 5. So there were 2 rounds in contention, round 2 and round 3, and that's what we're going to talk about mostly, because that's what determines the decision at the end of the day. The judges how do they score those rounds that are not as clear? How do they score the rounds that are dicey? Which brings me to my first point. Now, what's going through the mind of the judges while watching a fight? They look at who is more active. When they want to judge a close round, they look at, ground control time, who is more active in the fight, who is the aggressor. All of those little things are what they use to determine who they're going to score that round in favor of. But there's another key aspect that they also look at. And if you've been following the world of combat sports, boxing, MMA, any sports even, there is something called home advantage. This fight was in Australia. Volkanovski is from Australia. And a lot of times when fights are dicey, they might tend to sway towards the home fighter. That aside, this is not just any fight, right? The home advantage stands in favor of Volkanovski, but the champion's advantage stands in favor of Makhachev, meaning if you want to take the belt away from the champion, you have to go out there and beat the champion. And looking at it from the way UFC fights have been judged in the past, I would say at the end they got it right, because even though Makhachev struggled on his feet and towards the end of the fight, Volkanovski finished the fight with Makhachev on his back, raining punches on him. That did not really tell the full story of the fight, because throughout round 1 through round 3, Makhachev was in control of the fight. And even if he wasn't able to do much damage when he got him on the floor, that's why ground control time is so important in the UFC. If you get taken down and the referee doesn't see any reason to stand the fight up back again, whoever gets the takedown and has ground control time is most likely going to win the round, and I think that's what stood against Volkanovski in this fight. And that was the Islam Makhachev defeated Volkanovski UFC 284 to retain the championship. It was not an easy fight in any way for Makhachev. In fact, he was spotted in the locker room. He was on a phone call with Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was not able to be by his side. Khabib is usually ringside for most of his fight, but he was not able to be there. And he said something in Russian, which was later translated, and Khabib said there were a couple of things he could have done, and then he replied Khabib and said, it would have been much easier if you were in my corner. And then there was a lot of love thrown back and forth between the two, but it was amazing to see. It was a lovely fight. Dana White was asked in an interview about a possible rematch, and he was like, definitely this is a fight the fans want to see. There was no better way for the fight to have ended, because people are still arguing every now and then about the result of the match. We would love to see them run it back. So let us know in the comment section, who do you think won the fight? Do you think the fight was scored correctly? Would you love to see a rematch? Thank you very much, fight fans. See you next time on The African Fighters.